South Africa have leveled the series with a 16-run win in the second T20 against the West Indies. Now, I'm not going to run away with this. I'm not going to get ahead of myself because there's still clear gaps in the South African setup, still clear gaps in the improving that we need to do. We heard it in Reza Hendricks's press conference that there's a lot to still improve on. This time around, it was a reverse. The guys that many call quota players ended up performing, i.e. Temba Bavuma, Reza Hendricks scoring the bulk of the runs. And the players that we have basically chosen as the main players in the side did not perform the way we intended them to. So complete turnaround. What was better in this particular game was the bowling performance. Apart from Ngidi, who got completely slaughtered in a large part of this particular game, he pulled it. He tried to pull it back. He almost pulled it back, but he got the wicket at the right time. So it was a very mixed performance from Ngidi. We're going to talk about that a little bit more in depth, of course, but we're going to review this entire game and give our point of view. Myself and Aditya are going to try to get into the nitty-gritty on everything and try to unravel what went down in this particular match, what went differently between this match and the first match, because ultimately the same result started, same teams, similar score, but a better defense from South Africa. So we're going to be talking about everything that you need to know about the second T20, and we're going to look ahead at the next T20. All of this on the show next. Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your review show. I'm the host, Khalid Mohidin. This is the show where we talk about everything that has to do with the T20I series against the West Indies. The guys that are new to the channel, please click subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos, all future uploads. Every single video that we produce, you guys will hear about it first if you click that notification bell. Also, smash that like button. I want to get like over 25 likes on this particular video. So let's get into this discussion. So, Aditya, I said after that game, or during that game, after the first half, I was like, well, same team, same result. What do you expect? That was my first immediate reaction. Then I started to think as the game went on, or after in that break period between the innings change, I was like, but if South Africa can bowl differently in this particular match, if they can change the way they bowl in this match, we will have a chance, perhaps a chance of defending this total. Now, the West Indies players are type of players that are generally up and down. The stars, yes, they have a lot of stars, but when I watch them in the IPL, for example, you'll have one amazing performance from a guy like Pollard or Russell, and then you'll have a game that is kind of off. Then you'll have an amazing performance from a guy like Gale, and then you'll have a performance that's kind of off. Now, Gale hasn't been in the best of form. Let's just get right. He's still a world-class player, still a very dangerous man, and when he gets it right, he gets it right. But when it comes to the IPL, and I use that as the benchmark because the IPL has the best competition with regards to players versus players. So the standard of cricket is quite high in the IPL. I must admit that. So you can see in that, for example, he hasn't been in the best of form. He hasn't really taken. It hasn't been the gale force that we all know of recent times, and you will be able to confirm that. Maybe you can recollect some of the previous performances and stuff like that and talk about it. But to me, there's still a lot of gaps in the South African lineup. Now, we are still relying on individual performances to push us over the line. I don't see necessarily consistency from certain guys. Yes, we are still looking for a number 6 finisher, and I want you guys to go ahead and put that in the comment section. I'm going to propose 2 different options for this later on in the show, Aditya. but we can talk about that a little later. I just want to first get to know what your thoughts on this particular match was, because I'm feeling a little bit in between. I'm very happy that we won because it's amazing for the confidence boost. I'm very happy that the bowlers got the confidence going forward, because momentum is going to carry these bowlers through the series. I think they're just going to get better as the series goes along. There are still question marks over Lungi. Maybe a guy like Lazard Williams should be put in his place. That could be an option for going forward. And there's still a question mark over Heinrich Klaasen. But let me hear what you have to say about this particular match. What was your assessment?
First off, congratulations to South Africa. They leveled the series after quite demoralizing defeat in the first game. And what really impressed me was that with the same team in similar conditions against the same opposition, South Africa adapted and found a way to win. That's South Africa can take a lot of heart out of that. What the spinners did, George Linde and Tabrez Shamsi, was outstanding. Collectively, 8 overs, 35 runs, and 3 wickets. That is a match-winning performance, and they deserve all the credit that comes their way. So George Linde was quite rightly the man of the match, and the spinners really won South Africa this game. The gaps in the South African team performance, in my view, is still in the batting. It's a serious problem, and you look at trends in world cricket. We've got more of a supply of top 3 batters, and the real sort of driving force of a batting lineup. The Mumbai Indians call it the engine room. That's the middle order, and unfortunately for South Africa, that's not working at the moment. The move that they made with David Miller coming in at 4 and Rassie at 5, that cannot be a long-term solution at all, because Rassie van der Tussen's natural inclination is to settle himself in. He's not the sort of player who can come in and start smacking them from ball 1. So yesterday, I think that move was sort of overshadowed by the fact that South Africa won, but it's the sort of thing that could cost South Africa. And 5, 6, 7 to me now, because if the top order is producing 40s, and it's good for this game that Reza scored a 40, Temba Bavuma scored 46, that's great. But as Reza Hendricks said in his press conference, at least one of the top 4, top 5 need to be batting 15 overs onwards, and that hasn't happened. So that's something that South Africa needs to look at, but it's that 5, 6, 7 position that really needs a lot of work. And as for Lungi, I know Lungi got smashed, but we also need to see that the opposition is going to target at least one bowler, and Lungi was always going to be that bowler, because he got smashed the previous day as well, and he would probably be low on confidence, and he is a safer bet to hit as opposed to KG or Andrick or any of the spinners. So I wouldn't be too harsh on him just yet, but 5, 6, 7, that's the problem area for me.
So we got a caller on the show again. Dan is called in once again. Welcome to the show, brother. Let's have it. I just want to have your overview of, before I get into the main crux that I want to speak about. I just want to get your overview of the match. What was your assessment of it? I know we won, but I'm going to still have a little bit concerns, and I still think there's gaps in the side.
Yeah, I was having my morning breakfast and watching the show, and then I saw, there was room for callers, so I figured I'd quickly finish my breakfast and come chat with you guys. Yeah,
Smash a like for that, guys. Smash a like for that.
I did, yeah. I think you nailed it exactly right. 5, 6, and 7 is still a concern. I'm liking how Rabada comes in and kind of stabilizes an innings. He's shown it in tests. He's shown it now in Pro20. I think it might be worth. He's still the spearhead of the bowling attack, but kind of like how we used Sean Pollock back in the 90s, having a guy that you can rely on at the death of the innings, kind of a sting in the tail, as it were. But that being said, there were concerns. our quicks didn't have the best day. They got the wickets, but bowling wise, there were a lot of short deliveries still, which I kind of think is not really the best way to go in Pro 20. Like the odd bounce is going to help you a lot, but just bowling short, like ball after ball, is a recipe to get smashed. And I think to an extent the Windies also lost this to a degree. Like there was some irresponsible shot making and shot selection, and we have to kind of concede that it wasn't just this brilliant Proteas performance. It was kind of 50-50.
True. And for the guys asking about why Dan's having breakfast at 12 p.m., he lives in Canada, so that's why he's having breakfast. So, guys, this is the main crux of the discussion for me. For the T20 series, for the T20 team, now, these players, especially in this batting lineup, I think it fits the ODI game perfectly because a lot of them need time to settle in at the crease. South Africa don't necessarily have a lot of batsmen currently in the squad that can hit the ground running from ball one or ball two or ball three. And in T20 cricket, you need guys to be able to hit the ground running immediately from the moment they walk out to the crease and put pressure on. Have a couple of balls to put your eye in and get your eye in, but then afterwards take the sword to the opposition. Now, my problem is that Rassie needs a couple of overs to get himself settled. Pavuma needs a couple of overs to get himself settled. Even David Miller, to an extent, needs a couple of balls to get himself settled. I wouldn't say overs, but I mean a couple of balls to get himself settled. So if he's coming towards the end of an innings, like say 4 overs left, I don't think that David Miller will be able to be that finisher necessarily. I've seen him maybe do it once, but not on a consistent basis. David Miller should be coming in at 4, I believe. That's his talent. That's what he should be coming in. But then that means Rassie needs to drop at 5 with the current top 3 that we have. And I think Rassie at 5 isn't an option. So I'm going to propose something because we've got 2 batsmen lurking in the wings that do have the ability to be able to hit the ball quite quickly and play an attacking game quite quickly, and that's Janaman Malan and Aiden Markram. Both of those type of guys have the ability to be able to turn it on immediately. Now, yes, we only see them do it in the power play, but are they talented enough to maybe do it coming in at 5 or coming in at 6? Maybe even having a top 6 of pure batters that you know that you are comfortable, because Heinrich Klaasen also needs a couple of balls. He also can't hit the ball from ball 1. So you're sitting in a situation where you have a whole lot of guys that need to adapt first. There's not enough overs in the T20 format for that. So my point over here is that, is it possible, it's just a question, I'm not saying this is my opinion, but I'm saying, is it possible to pick a top 6 of batters that are adaptable? Now, having guys that can switch on and switch off, and then bringing them out according to the match situation. Instead of thinking of it like, oh, but he's batting 6, oh, but he can't finish, rather say, but what if we lose 3 wickets? Can he then turn the game around? Can he then turn it on and put pressure back on? If we lose our opening batsman, our most attacking player early, like Quinton de Kock, do we have the batter that is available that can just come in and settle in? Because other opposition are not going to give us time to settle in and give us a couple of balls to settle in. They're going to come and they're going to bowl with accuracy from the get-go. Slower deliveries is the way to go. It's my only concern with Lungi Ngidi because that is one of his main skills, is his slower deliveries, and he hasn't really been using it as much, his variations as much. He's been overcooking it by a bit. We can see that he's going a little bit too full or a little bit too short. And sometimes he misses his Yorkers completely. I think something that Ngidi maybe needs to add into his game is the wider Yorkers, but let's talk about the bowlers afterwards. But what is your thought process of maybe selecting a team like that? Because if you guys can openly tell me or give me 5 names in this comment section I want to see 5 names after this video is done in the comment section on YouTube, that it stays there, because in the live chat it disappears. So I want you to put it in the comment section afterwards. Give me 5 names of finishers in South African cricket that will come in and do what a Pollard or a Russell can do. But I'm going to pose it to you, Aditya, first, and then Dan. What is your thought process of picking a team of 6 specialized batsmen and then moving them according to the game situation?
Look, in this day and age, the best T20 teams internationally and at franchise level are playing 9-10 batters. This current West Indies team has power hitters from the opening slot to 9. If you look at England or India, they've gone that same road as well. And the Chennai Super Kings in the IPL, they had batting till 10. So, on a bad day, they're going to get to 180, 190. That's that was their IPL this year. So South Africa needs to go that way, essentially, where we're talking about six specialist batsmen, but we have to talk about we have the mindset has to be to find batters till at least 9 now, if they are to compete with England and India and so on. So yeah, I think that's my stance with respect to batting. As for finishers in South African cricket, it's more right now to me. It's more a question of trying out players and seeing if they can be finishers, because Andile Peklukwayo and David Miller were the designated finishers. David Miller, we know, still has it, and he's been doing well at franchise level and at international level for South Africa. But Andile Peklukwayo has not been in form for quite a while, so that presents a problem for us. And Dwayne Pretorius, unfortunately, is not available for this series. So if I was Mark Boucher, I'd probably give George Linder that additional responsibility, and perhaps probably play Miller, Vean Mulder, and George Linder, because you have to give people an opportunity. Heinrich Klaassen is not in the best of touch right now. We don't know what's going to be his situation at the World Cup, and ultimately he's going to be a one-disciplined player. So Vean Mulder at least gives you that additional bowling option as well. To me, that's the route that South Africa need to be taking right now.
Because my thought process, Dan, is this: so I look at T20 batting lineups, and I don't see it as fixed positions. I think about match situation a lot because there's so little overs to gamble with. So, for example, if Quinton de Kock and Reza Hendricks are the opening pair right now, and this is what Boucher believes, based on this, he's probably going to get the whole series based on his performance yesterday. So I'm just going to try to put myself into Boucher's head and try to take the selection positions that I know he's going to pick, and then try to soup it up with the guys that are not performing that well. So in a match scenario where Quinton de Kock, because you can't guarantee that Quinton de Kock's going to come to the fold every single game. It's almost impossible. I don't think anybody's ever scored 5 games on the bounce, massive runs. So what I'm trying to think about is here, say Quinton loses. Quinton is the attacking player in that power play. It's clear to see that. Yes, Reza's come to the fold right now, but Reza, I feel, can only do it. He does it in bursts. So there's particular bowler he'll go after, and then he'll slow down a little bit and be if the ideal scenario for Reza is if Quinton is firing on the other end. That's the ideal scenario, because then he can play and maneuver his game accordingly, running between the wickets hard, etc. So what happens if we are, let's say, 10 for 1 and Quinton de Kock loses his game early, his wicket early? Now, there's 2 ways to go about it. Quinton just had it might not be that an attacking game is the wrong way to go in the power play. You should still be scoring in the power play. Quinton de Kock might have just lost his wicket and been a little bit off. What if you can bring in a batsman at that point that has the ability to open explosively? So having a guy like Aiden Markram even if he's 6 in the batting lineup, no one said if he's written 6 on the batting lineup, he has to bat at 6. So bring him in then in the power play. You have another opener that can open with the burst runs and score quickly. So that means that obviously you're basically replacing Quinton de Kock with another explosive opener if you lose him early. That way you can still get close to 100 after a power play. You don't sit in a situation where you're like, oh flip, now Bavuma comes in and now the game is gonna stall, and now you only get to 50 in the power play, where you can still hold the advantage moving forward. That's what I'm trying to think about. Then, if you lose a wicket, say in the 10th over, you lose Quinton de Kock. Now you've got David Miller hanging in the wings. Bring him in. So he comes in instead of Bavuma and instead of Rassie van der Dussen, and he has some time to settle in and then fire and take the game away from them. So those are options that you have if you have them selected. Whether you put them at 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, it depends on the match situation ultimately. Your openers are actually your most important guys in that particular batting lineup, in my opinion. If they fire or not, it depends how you're going to go with the rest of the game. Now, say we get into a situation where it's 6 overs and there's a little bit extra time towards the 10 that you have to settle in for a guy to come in and fire, then bring in a Rassie or then bring in a Temba Bavuma is perfect scenario. You can just calm the situation down, and the other opener would be on fire at that particular stage. Now, yes, Miller came in at 10 in this particular series, didn't do well. Doesn't mean that he can't. Ultimately, doesn't mean that he's not able to do that. But if we don't have a 6, because I don't think Vian Mulder in T20 cricket is a finisher. At this particular stage, I think Vian also needs some time to settle in at the crease. Andile Pechlekwayo's batting, I think he also needs a couple of balls to get in. I haven't really seen Andile hit the ground running. When he did bat well, I never really saw him hit the ground running in T20s quickly. So we don't necessarily have those big hitters like Russell, like Pollard, like those type of guys, like a Hardik Pandya, like a Ben Stokes, who can just come in from the first over and start hitting after a couple of balls to get the eye in. So, Dan, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so the first thing I'd say is just regards to I think Bavuma's batting style and Hendrick's batting style are kind of similar, that they're slow, deliberate batsmen. They kind of, it reminds me of Graham Smith's batting style, that you kind of stay in and you get stuck in, and maybe you don't score 3,000 runs off 2 balls, but you spend the whole innings there. You're the start marker, the guy that they can rely on. That's kind of what makes the Hendricks de Kock the Hendricks de Kock partnership so strong, is that de Kock's natural game is aggressive, and Hendricks' natural game is to say, let's just get in and get sorted. What this goes to me is something that South African cricket, I think, has to learn, that that we haven't learned yet, that the Australians and the Indians have learned, and that's that you need specialized squads per format. I'm not saying, the whole 11 has to change, but what I'm saying is that if you bring in your specialized batsmen, if you specialize chasers, Pro 20 is not like ODIs where, like you mentioned, that someone's batting role is kind of set in stone, and if you bat at 6, you're always going to come in at 6. We saw that with the Windies in the first game. Like, they brought in, like, the moment they knew they had South Africa on their backs, they brought in the Dwayne Bravos, they brought in the aggressive batsmen, the big hitters, because they knew that it was game over at that point, and they just had to string together a series of 6s. So that for me is the thing with the batting. The comments, there's been a couple of names that I've seen. Obviously Pretorius is just not available, so as much as we miss him, like, we can't get him. But Milan is a very good choice. We've got a lot of talent in South Africa, and I just don't think that we're using it, because we want to try and build the same squad to play tests and ODIs and Pro 20s. And that, for me, I think, and this is a bit of a controversial topic, but that for me, I think, is the old way of doing cricket. The new way of doing cricket is to say it's almost a completely different game. Yes, we've got class batsmen, but if someone takes 3 overs to get their eye in, they're more suited for ODIs and tests. And some batsmen you're not going to get to accelerate the way that I'm picking on him, but Milan just kind of gets to the crease and maybe takes a ball or 2 just to kind of see what the bowler's doing, and then, like, immediately starts scoring and gets quick singles and rotates the strike. And I think that's the core. That's what we have to look for in a Pro 20 side is that finishing mentality, that those big hitters. That's why I kind of initially said that I'd give the Windies the advantage for the series, because they have the guys with that killer instinct that are prepared mentally to kind of come in and just kind of seize the throat, as it were.
And I think South Africa right now, because they don't have that, they have to look at a different way how to score their runs. Simple as that, because we don't have that currently. We don't have a guy that can walk in, take two balls, and smash it in the 10th over after the power play, when the field is allowed to be able to restrict the batsman. I mean, we've got a lot of batsmen that can play very well in the power play and smash it into gaps like that. We've got a lot of stroke players. How many of them are guys that can clear the boundary? I heard people say, no, Bavuma can't clear the boundary. He hit a massive six in that particular game. Yes, it was only one of them, but he hit a massive six in that game. So it's about sixes are also about timing. Let's go to the next. Let's just wrap this up. And what do you want to see in the next game, Aditya? For me, I just want to see one change in this particular lineup, because I think that Boucher will stay with the same T20 11. I don't think he's going to change it right now. I think continuity is everything for him. So for me, I'll only make one change. I'll replace Henrik Clausen with Aiden Markram, because Aiden Markram adds a little bit extra with the ball. And I will obviously move them in accordingly. Even if I have to play Miller as a six in this particular match, then so be it. South Africa, on so many occasions where players don't play the traditional roles, because we always have collapses or we're always losing players. So we don't really have opportunities to get that guy to come in with 120 on the board, and then he can fire. It doesn't happen enough for us. We either dominate or we don't. So let's see what happens about that. And I'll probably bring in Lazard Williams for Lungi Ngidi, just to take the pressure off him a little bit. Now, this is very important, because you can either kill someone's confidence by not selecting them, or their confidence is strong enough to be able to say, look, let's take a breather. You've had a long test series, and also now you play two on the bounce. Just take a breather a little bit. We still back you. We just want to see what someone else can do. And then bring in a guy like Lazard Williams for Ngidi. I think those are the two changes that I'll 100% make, I think, just to give them just to have a look at other options. Aditya, what is your decision? What would you make for the next match?
I'll make three changes. One is I'd bring in Aiden Markram for Reza Hendricks. I'd push Miller up to 5 and have George Linde at 6 and Vian Mulder at 7 for the extra batting. And I would replace Lungi Ngidi with Lazard Williams as well.
Dan?
Yeah, I think, you know what? I think all the quicks, Nokia, Rabada, they've all had they've had IPL, they've had tests. Like I'm all for giving them a rest, giving them the next 2 or 3 games that they can just ease out. I not to say that they're not performing. I think Ngidi, those when they said they needed 6 sixes and immediately the guy, I can't remember the name of the batsman now, but he scored 3 sixes. That was squeaky bum time. But what I'd like to see is us resting our players. I'd like to see us managing the players a little bit more. I do believe that the Hendricks for Markham move is one that we have to make now, just to kind of expand the batting a little bit. With it being Pro 20, we have to kind of back our batsmen that are on form, and we have to tell the guys that are not on form that listen. Like you have to play your way into the squad, and it's harsh, but at the same time, that's Pro 20. Like, it's a batsman's game. You have to bat aggressively and you have to bat big.
So, guys, that's what we have for you today. Another option, like Rashid's been screaming in the comment section, Bjorn Fortuin may be coming in and have an extra spinner. That's also another option, I think, because they did struggle to play spin. I just feel they're a little bit, with regards to the type of spinner Bjorn Fortuin is, I think he can be a real threat in the open to open the bowling for South Africa, because I mean that boy is very talented as well and he has the right mentality. So that's always another option as well. But guys, thanks a lot for tuning in.
Yeah, I would just quickly say, sorry, you mentioned this in the WhatsApp group, but the likes of Tahir and Faf du Plessis not getting a call up is also something that is like I get that they're semi-retired. Maybe they're looking at playing professional leagues and making their money, but at the same time, country duty, kind of pushing for them to get back in the setup is something that I think Boucher should be doing as well, especially with someone like Faf, who is a naturally attacking batsman.
Yeah, so I can give you the
Faf is
update
also
on
recovering
on
from
Faf.
concussion.
Yeah. Also Faf wasn't going to be selected for this particular series. He was going to play. I think that was always the idea, but he is available for the World Cup. He hasn't retired from T20 cricket, so that at least we know that for sure. So he's definitely going to be in. I can't see them not picking him. My concern is Morris and Tahir. Now, Aditya has been in the press conference with Graham Smith where they asked him about Morris. He kind of doesn't look like they have a great relationship at the moment, or that they're not coming to an agreement on what is happening. So if we can't get Morris, we need to look. If they're not going to pick Morris, or they're not going to, if Graham is not going to select Morris and the selectors are not, then we need to move on from Morris. We can't sit on and think about him. Tahir, I don't understand, because I know for a fact that Tahir wants to play for South Africa. He's not retired from T20 cricket. He's only retired from ODI cricket. So he hasn't announced his retirement for T20s. So very, very surprising that they haven't selected him. Maybe they're trying to keep him fresh. Maybe they're trying to get him to keep form in the other competitions by playing those other competitions, so that when he gets to the World Cup, he's fresh and ready to play. I don't know. Maybe they want to, I don't know what they're trying to do with. That's the one thing that baffles me, and I need to understand what they're doing with that. Aditya, you want to say anything on that?
Yeah, I agree with you. It would be good to have Tahir in the team as much as possible. But in saying that, he's just done brilliantly well in the recently concluded PSL. So if he does get selected for the World Cup, I think South Africa should be happy that they've got an informed senior pro. As for Faf, again, I think he's contractually obligated to play the PSL because it was called off earlier in the year. And secondly, he got a concussion, so I don't think he's playing any professional cricket for a while till he gets fit again. So,
yeah. And also,
so I guess now
thing
it's an injury concern.
Yeah. And now also another thing, maybe about just thinking the same way as he thought about AB. Our world-class players, give them the opportunity to prove their worth in those competitions, get some form and prove that they are right for this team. Let's get the players that are kind of behind those players to get some momentum leading in, so you have a 15 that are in form. That's another, because you'll have a bigger pool to work with, because we don't want a situation like we had in the in the 2019 FIFA World Cup. What is wrong with me? In the 2019 50 over World Cup, where you have so many star players injured in the middle of a tournament, when you put all your eggs in one basket, and then your A plan doesn't work because Nkidi is coming back from fitness, Kagiso is coming back from fitness. You have Dale Steyn injured and pulls out, and Bjorn Hendricks coming in for him in the last minute. I mean, that was scary. I mean, I was in the visa line. I'll tell my World Cup story another time, guys. I think that's a show on its own. But I was in the visa line to try to get my visa to go to the World Cup, and I saw Bjorn Hendricks in the line. And I was like, oh no, that means I knew already beforehand that Dale Steyn was injured, because that was the only logical explanation. So you're bowling with a half-fit KG, a half-fit Lungi, and trying to win a World Cup when your main aim is to just out-bowl everybody. So it was a problem for South Africa. Like Chris Morris and Andile Peklekwaya were our best bowlers and our senior guys in that tournament. But anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Please do download our latest issue of the magazine and become a subscriber today. It's a 100% free. Link is on the screen and in the description. And also go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all updates on the game. I hope you guys enjoy the game later. And I hope South Africa gets another win and we can take a lead, and maybe then we can look at things a little bit differently. But until then, have a great day, and we'll speak to you guys very, very soon. Take care, everybody.